Imagine the world without Walt Disney. A world where his beloved characters and songs never shaped your dreams, where magic and visual storytelling never sparked your imagination, and where no whimsical theme parks ever delighted your childhood fantasies. Walter Elias Disney was an American entrepreneur, animator, writer, voice actor and film producer. The creator of Mickey Mouse and founder of Disneyland and Walt Disney World was born in Chicago, Illinois, on December 5, 1901. His father, Elias Disney, was an Irish-Canadian. His mother, Flora Cole Disney, was of German-American descent. Walt was one of 5 children, 4 boys and a girl. Raised on a farm near Marceline, Missouri, Walt early became interested in drawing, selling his first sketches to neighbors when he was only 7 years old. At McKinley High School in Chicago, Disney divided his attention between drawing and photography, contributing both to the school paper. At school, Walt Disney was rather inattentive. His teachers would often catch him daydreaming or doodling pictures of animals and nature. As he grew older, he picked up a knack for storytelling and would tell his classmates outlandish tales while illustrating on the chalkboard. During the fall of 1918, Disney attempted to enlist for military service. Rejected because he was only 16 years of age, Walt joined the Red Cross and was sent overseas, where he spent a year driving an ambulance and chauffeuring Red Cross officials. His ambulance was covered from stem to stern, not with stock camouflage, but with drawings and cartoons. After the war, Walt returned to Kansas City, where he began his career as an advertising cartoonist. Here, in 1920, he created and marketed his first original animated cartoons, and later perfected a new method for combining live action and animation. Meanwhile, at home, Walt began to experiment with a different animation technique using a borrowed camera and book. Later on, he tried to convince the ad agency to adopt this new technique, but was unsuccessful. Walt Disney soon decided it was time to quit talking and start doing, so he left the agency and opened his second business. Walt, UB and a handful of animators would work long hours to produce short cartoons called Laugh-O-Grams. These 7-minute animations of modernized fairy tales were shown at the local theater, attracting enough attention and popularity to keep their business afloat. Although funding soon began to decline, which pushed Walt Disney to work on the story of a live-action girl called Alice exploring an animated wonderland. Before he could finish it, his company went bankrupt and he was, once again, left with close to nothing. At 22 years old and already with 2 failed business ventures under his belt, Walt felt the only way he would succeed is if he believed in his dream implicitly and unquestionably. He then packed his suitcase, never leaving behind his favorite canned chili, and made the trip to Hollywood. A whole new chapter of his life was about to begin. Walt's brother Roy O. Disney was already in California, with an immense amount of sympathy and encouragement, and $250. Pooling their resources, they borrowed an additional $500 and constructed a camera stand in their uncle's garage. Soon, they received an order from New York for the first Alice comedy short, and the brothers began their production operation in the rear of a Hollywood real estate office 2 blocks away. Walt Disney's series on Alice was well received, which allowed the studio to hire more animators. His first hires included his friend UBI Works and an inker who Walt would later marry on July 13, 1925. They were blessed with 2 daughters, Diane, married to Ron Miller, former president and chief executive officer of Walt Disney Productions, and Sharon Disney Lund, formerly a member of Disney's board of directors. The Millers have 7 children and Mrs. Lund had 3. Mrs. Lund passed away in 1993. Mickey Mouse was created in 1928, and his talents were first used in a silent cartoon entitled Plain Crazy. However, before the cartoon could be released, sound burst upon the motion picture screen. Thus Mickey made his screen debut in Steamboat Willie, the world's first fully synchronized sound cartoon, which premiered at the Colony Theater in New York on November 18, 1928. Soon enough, film studios began to line up with all sorts of deals for Walt. From experience, he never sold the rights to his prized Mickey. Along with his passionate team, Walt formed Disney Studios and went on to create a series of sound cartoons. Gradually, their humorous animations and lovable characters flickered across televisions all over the country. 6 years and many successful animations later, Walt Disney continued to push the limits of animation by announcing his first full-length feature film Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Everyone thought it was a terrible idea. His wife and brother tried to talk him out of it, but Walt took out multiple bank loans and spent the next 3 years producing his vision. His very own team thought the film would ruin Disney Studios. Yet Walt Disney persevered, and in 1937, the film became the most successful motion picture of the year. It won dozens of awards and turned enough profit to pay off every bank loan and then some. On one particular Saturday with his daughters, Walt sat on a park bench eating peanuts while his girls played on the merry-go-round. As he watched them, he began to daydream of a place where parents and children could have fun together. His plans for a theme park began to hatch. It would be unlike any other, where people of all ages could explore and revel in fantastical experiences. So Disneyland, launched in 1955 as a fabulous $17 million Magic Kingdom, soon increased its investment tenfold and entertained, by its fourth decade, more than 400 million people, including presidents, kings and queens and royalty from all over the globe. A pioneer in the field of television programming, Disney began production in 1954, and was among the first to present full-color programming with his Wonderful World of Color in 1961. The Mickey Mouse Club and Zorro were popular favorites in the 1950s. It wasn't long before Walt began plans for a new theme park. Sadly, before construction was complete, his lifelong habit of chain-smoking had finally caught up with him. In 1966, Walt Disney passed away from lung cancer. Although his unfinished venture was not lost. His brother Roy continued working on the theme park, which opened in 1971, under the name Walt Disney World. Walt Disney is a legend, a folk hero of the 20th century. His worldwide popularity was based upon the ideas which his name represents: imagination, optimism and self-made success in the American tradition. Walt Disney did more to touch the hearts, minds and emotions of millions of Americans than any other man in the past century. Through his work, he brought joy, happiness and a universal means of communication to the people of every nation. Certainly, our world shall know